I've been using a Hobonichi Techo for the past 3 years, as you can see here. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things I've learned from keeping this daily journaling practice. This is not a video to tell you to get yourself a Hobonichi Techo this 2027, although I am pretty sure I'm gonna get one for next year. But it's simply a way for me to share with you some tips that I've learned, also the techniques that have kept me consistent with this daily journaling habit, because like you, I have also struggled to find a system that worked for me until I tried journaling daily with this smaller size, the portability. It's now muscle memory for me to just jot down what happened throughout the day and keep that habit going as part of my not only creative practice but mindfulness practice as well. If you're new here, hi, my name is Abbey. I'm an artist, author, and educator, and I talk a lot about documenting your life and travels here on my YouTube channel. I hope you'll follow along because I'm going to be touring you to 3 long years, and also I've annotated so much of these because I definitely cannot show you everything that I've documented and how I've journaled throughout these 3 years, but I can definitely give you some ideas on how I use travel related pages, how I document the most boring things that you can think of, and how I sort of make it my own and how it's become a container for me to reflect on my life and how I go about it now that I'm in my 30s. Before we continue, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. More on that later. Okay, I'm gonna show you every single journal. Let's get right to it. So we have all 3 journals here. I also, for the sake of this video, took out the plastic covers just because they can get a bit of they'll have a glare on camera and we don't want that. So this was my first year back using a Hobonichi Techo. My last one was 2016 and this was 2024. So I actually did not plan on buying this, but I was in Japan in 2023. So you know what? I was like, might as well get my hands on Hobonichi. I had no idea that I would finish it, but I definitely was very curious on how my documenting style would look like when I started. So obviously I started the year in Japan, so I stuck in a Traveler's Factory Kyoto stamp here. But one thing that I did notice when I began journaling here is I was very I tried to not put too much things, like a little bit sticker here and some elements on the left hand side, on the right hand side. I think in a way that kind of already informed how I started journaling in this style. I don't even know if it's a style, it's just something I kind of got used to as I documented further. I also started my tradition of my birthday Polaroid, birthday Instax. I do travel, and when I travel, I bring my journal too, most of the time. And this was my first attempt of making sure that it was obvious that I was traveling. So I always have something like this one is an en route sticker that I stuck in that indicates that I am traveling. So that was one thing I particularly wanted to highlight. Another thing is, this is an example of a very mundane day. What does that mean? It's very ordinary, right? That I tend to just look into things that summarize the day as it is. So for this one, I tried using an alphabet stamp. I don't use it all the time, but sometimes when I do, I'm like, okay, might as well use it. So here it says flow. This is probably something about my workflow. And then this one is early. So that instantly means I did wake up early that day. I did wake up early, woke up so early to catch the morning light and get filming done. And then one thing I noticed is when I write in my pages, it's divided into usually morning block, afternoon block, and evening block. And the way that I divide the paragraphs, sometimes I write in bullets, but most of the time I do write in paragraphs, kind of like a story, a short story of my day. And usually when that happens, I divide it, this is the afternoon one because you can see ended up visiting GNG at Potsdamer Platz, which means there was something that changed, location, I went somewhere. And then here, my winding down time got pretty late. And I think that's how I learned to sort of estimate how much I get to write for the whole day in one page. This was a very travel heavy summer, if I remember correctly, because I did go to SoCal Got to go to LA, visited Job. We watched Inside Out 2. So I still kept a lot of ephemera while there are some. Especially if they're small like this, then it's easier to kind of make sense of. I notice a lot of the things get chunkier when it's travel related. So here is another example with being in New York. This was such a time. So this was New York Stationery Fest. First Stationery Fest. And also some photos of us. Oh, this was a fun day because me and Job went to he got me Sonny Angel, like a New York edition at Strand Bookstore. So I have the Liberty one, he has this Broadway one. Moving now to more autumnal things. I think fall has always been my favorite season when it comes to daily journaling because most of my stationery is in that color scheme. And then I was also using a lot of my PET tapes so heavily here. And the fountain pen inks I get to ink are in that warm color tone as well. I tend to write kind of what's on my mind. There's nothing much that I filter out. I think a lot of people have asked me also, like, do you not share anything personal? I actually don't with these daily journaling pages. I have my own private journal, but these ones are very kind of like matter-of-fact story time. Like, it's something I would tell a friend. Started to pick up more later in the afternoon, and yet I managed to film for my booktube. Oh yeah, this was the time I had that booktube. R.I.P. Abbey read. Feels weird coming to terms with who I am. Oh, this was a bit reflective. And this current season of life. Either way, I just feel like I'm circling through and getting by. I hope. And then I wrote, what does it even mean? I feel like I'm always having a dialogue with my journals. It's so funny to read it now. And then here and there, I would write footnotes like this one is like I was rewatching Abbott Elementary Season 3. It's so funny reading these entries, but this is more of the more autumnal related spreads that I enjoyed. Note to self, burrito or banh mi, always the banh mi please. So I tried getting a burrito for lunch and there was this banh mi place that I really like. I still love that place. And I decided to try a burrito, but a burrito in Berlin is not really the best idea. If it was a burrito in California, I would 100% take it. So it's just funny to see this because it means I know immediately that day that I had that burrito and it was not good. But at least I have really nice stickers. So these are stickers from Sarika Studio. And then these are the ones that I made for my mail that month. And then this is from Job's PET tape. So yeah, that's 2024. Before we get back to the journals and more nerding out on some pages, I would like to thank Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. As much as I love keeping a physical record of my everyday life, I do love a digital home as well. And that's where Squarespace comes in. I've been using Squarespace for my website, especially now that I recently revamped it, one of my favorite projects this year. It's just important for me to have a digital home for where my creative work could live and flourish. And also, it's a great way for you to know more about me, what I offer, and how we can possibly work or collaborate together. One of my favorite things about Squarespace is how much you can customize the design of your site. As someone who works visually, having a website that actually feels like me is really important. I made sure to pick colors that represented my brand, elements and icons that I drew that I added in as part of the website assets. I use my website to share my work, my books, workshops, and other creative projects. So it's almost like an extension of my studio, a place where people can get a better idea of what I do and what I'm currently working on. And because I do have workshops and upcoming events that I kind of put together online, Squarespace makes it easy to send out invoices and have the invoicing feature as well, where I could just write all of the services I need and also send them to specific clients or people who would like to avail of my services. I love that Squarespace has everything all in one place, and it's become an easier way for me to just log in, check out my website, and also see what I need to add or edit here and there, especially if new projects come up or if I have to respond to inquiries. So yeah, it's been a great home, and I'm really, really grateful to be in that space and feel truly comfortable with sharing who I am and sharing the work that I do. If you've been thinking about putting your work together and creating a digital home, might I suggest checking out Squarespace. If you head to squarespace.com/abc, you will get a free trial, or use code ABC to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace, and now let's get back to the video. Finally gonna out myself. There are some pages of 2025 that I really did not bother to finish. But I did start this tradition of putting my vision board. Did I have a vision board 2024? I probably did, but I didn't put it anywhere. A lot of the front parts of my journals I never use, but I just like sticking stickers. I have been very bad at this because I never figure out what to do with it. I tried swatching, tried putting my workouts. As you can see, nothing has stuck. We are going to change that in 2026 and hopefully in 2027. One thing I definitely had started doing in 2025 was these like quotes. And I think it's a callback to my lettering days. I saw this from a sign in downtown LA. I think it was an arts district or Japantown. And I really liked it, so I put it in. And then more travel related ones. As you can see, this is an example also of a travel related one. I wanted to specifically share this because this was the day that I watched Perfect Days for the first time. And I think I have been a changed woman since. I had a very, I never filmed my Brussels trip, actually. I never edited this Belgium birthday trip. It wasn't great. It was a lot of like inner work kind of trip. I literally wrote here, bad morning, but okay. Anyway, apart from that, I loved spending time with my friend who was living in Brussels at the time. I did really like this spread. Went to KMSK. This was a really nice museum in Antwerp, and then also in Museum de Rede. It's like a print museum. Super, super amazing. Here, this is my birthday page. One thing I also started to use as inspiration is whatever ephemera I could find. So this one was a bar of chocolate, and I really love the blue here and the red of this sticker. So I kind of use those as like complementary colors to match my spreads. Once in a while, I would put the inks here, but I've been really not great at logging the inks. And every time people ask me what specific spreads they are and what ink did I use for that page, I don't really know the answer. Another thing that I started to develop in terms of habit is every month, I didn't know what to put on the front page for every month, like the cover page, because it's blank. So I decided to use it as like, not really a mantra, but like I would write song lyrics or quotes I really like that have kind of stuck with me at that period. So this is actually from the movie Sing Street, which I was watching on the plane back to Manila. And it's one of my favorite songs there. So this is your life. You can go anywhere. You gotta grab the wheel and own it. And drive it like you stole it. Rolling, this is your life. You can. Okay, I just watch it. But I really love this song, and I think it kind of spoke to me in terms of like taking control of my life around this time. I was in a very like, I don't know, I feel like I've been going through some personal stuff around that time, and I wasn't really sure with my decision. So it was nice to kind of put that as like a reminder. Where was the London ones? Actually, yeah, I never finished it. I didn't really have that much. It's just 2 empty spreads. So every year, at least like maybe 4 photos get printed on my Instax printer, and this is one of them because it was my moving day. Very important day. Usually when things like this happen, I kind of know that there's not much about writing specifically what the day was, but more like a summary of that day, and this is the snapshot of what I wanted to remember that day. I did mention I love the autumn spread, so this is an example also of an autumn spread that I really love. This was housewarming in my apartment. I think it's fun to have that kind of collection of things that you can pull together for specific seasons. I think in the summertime, it's always like more vibrant. You know, I get to use the pinks and the greens, and then I save a lot of the warmer ones for later in the year. I was also in London around this time. Saved a lot of the ephemera. A lot of you ask me how I do it. It's basically I mix them. I have some here, and then I still have some on my original travel journal. But I prioritize the travel journal first. Whatever gets remains comes here to these spreads, because also remember the pages are just small in size, so it's not really much of a problem for me to have every single ephemera stock in here. Like, I'm not that picky. But a lot of the smaller things definitely get put in here. So this was in Japan. Wow. Yeah, I went to Japan for a few days. A lot of stamps, obviously. So I kept some that I set aside here, and then some are still in the main travel journal. Last but not least, I decided to, obviously this isn't done, I decided to revive this cover. I don't know, just feeling like it. For a while, my cover this year has been my butterscotch cover. And recently, I stuck it with a patch from the Abbey Museum in Stockholm. I really love the typography, obviously. But I wanted to switch things up, and I have free will, so that's what I did. So this is the camp cover. I think it's one of the best covers that Hobonichi has ever done. I will never sell this, and I guard this with my whole heart. So a little tour, just because. So at the back of my Hobonichi, we have some things here. So this is a card that my friend Coco gave me. She always gives me a card on my birthday, which is something I really, really treasure. I feel like it kind of matched, like, wow, we're having a blue moment, you know? So I just thought to chuck it in here. I just found it in my stash. And then here, this is my brother. I did ask for his graduation photo. I had no idea where to put it. That's Chikawa. So let's just put him there. And then this is my crush, Joe Kiri. One of my favorite photos of him. This was actually just an extra one that I got from a screen cap from a vlog. So this is me and Keisha. We were hanging out at the park. Yeah, this is my vision board for 2026. And yeah, I think I've really been embracing this like blue thing. That's partly because I'm Pisces rising, and I just wanted to embrace my emotions more, because I tend to shut off. And yeah, that's not for today's video topic. Okay, one thing I have been trying to do actively, as suggested by a friend, Caro suggested this, to use my index, yearly index, to write the inks that I've been using. So it's just been fairly new, still just started this August. But I think this would be super useful down the line. Imagine all of them filling up in different colorways. Yeah, let's start with my 33 spread. So this year I decided to switch it up and do it like an open facing thing like here, and then write a longer paragraph about how my day went. Yeah, I had a really simple birthday. It was really rainy, so I didn't really enjoy it as much as I hoped. But next year, I'm going to be spending it with friends and family back home, so I'm really excited about that. This is an example of more travel-related ones. This was in Chicago. So a lot of the travel spreads are not obvious, but they are obvious enough for me to, again, look back and know what happened. It's so funny also to see a lot of things that poor decisions I did. So I wrote here, I slept so late around 3 a.m. That Nescafe Gold did me dirty. And then how cheeky to put a Smisky sticker there. Like, that's the mood. Like, I can't sleep. There were some days that really annoyed me. I don't remember why I was so, yeah. I didn't write the exact day here, so I had to paste a piece of paper to kind of combat it. But I did cry like a baby at the Hacks finale, so that one we are aware of. But I wanted to show you specifically this spread because I think it was one of my favorite days ever in like summertime here. So one of our good friends, Alex, visited Berlin, and I also got sunflowers that day. So actually this was part of the sunflower packaging, and we had a photo at brunch. So then I've been really enjoying this opening thing. And then I wrote a lot of the day here. You also notice that my handwriting tends to become a bit more loose once, I don't know, this is probably because I'm catching up on entries. It's not as legible, but it's still like I'm also like not policing myself to be like it has to be a certain look, like not really. Also, yeah, I asked a friend to write a note here, so sometimes I do that like on a whim just because it's my journal. I can really do whatever I want. Case in point, I had dinner with a friend this day. I was kind of going through the motions. I mean, I did pull out the death card reversed, so maybe that's something. But she said this, like, everyone is just winging it. So it was nice for me to remember that. And that was ultimately like a reminder of what that day was. The second one being I was at Coffee Circle that day, which is a coffee shop here. So then I know that this was the day I was working on a project at Coffee Circle, which was very productive if you think about it. Some Stationery Fest spreads because I have the actual journal pages here, and then we can kind of cross check. I don't know what that means. But example, this is like this is not in order, but this is July 29. This was July 29. It's not literally the same, right? And I think that's something that's definitely needed to be pointed out. So this is the actual like Stationery Fest spread I had. And I mean, it was 3 days. So we had this one. And then I also had this one, which was my heavy workshop day. And then I also have this one, which is the last day. So a lot of the stickers kind of got distributed amongst both of my journals, which I think is just enough to kind of make sense of, but a lot more is in my travel journal. If you want to check this out, it's on my Patreon. I have a flip through and also a PDF that you can download as part of my offerings. So yeah, a lot of the ephemera still was here, even if I did keep some here. Probably just enough to tide me over. This was my favorite one that I kept. I went to Yours Truly Brooklyn on my last day. So this is the sticker. But then I also had this one as part of what I got that day. So I bought a tarot reading like mystery bag. It was really cute. So I feel like that was such a nice way to wrap up my trip. And what card did I get, you may ask? I got the Six of Pentacles. So I stuck that card here, and that was my my last page to kind of reflect on my trip. As I have mentioned, like I love having friends write on my journals, kind of like a slam book. And while I was in New York, I asked 2 of my close friends to write here, and this was from Job and this was from Caro, who I got to meet for the first time, and we got to hang out in person. And I was kind of, you know, I got back and I didn't have anything. I didn't ask anyone else to write because, I don't know, I was just so busy. So the remaining part here, since I'm still carrying over a lot of these, like, I still write my quotes, right? Let's see some recent ones. Yeah, I love this one. This is from the song Clarity by John Mayer. By the time I recognize this moment will be gone. It's such a strong, like, that was my whole, like, approach to summer, because the memories will be, like, life moves so fast, especially in the warm weather, and I really wanted to savor a lot of it. So this one had, I didn't know what to write, and I was trying to figure out, like, what quote to add, and recently I've been reading Don't Call It Art by Austin Kleon. And this was also the topic that was being brought up around Stationery Fest, like conversation I've been having with my friends. And so I wrote here from the book, resist seeking out too much instruction from others. Try to figure things out on your own. And I think that's like a really good reminder and something I've been thinking about specifically this August, like deliberately like reflecting on. And it's also a little homage to what Caro wrote here. Remember, you can do anything you want to do in your work and life. And I really, really love that. So, you know, this journal may not seem like much to anyone else, but for me, it's such a prime example of the different things that have been kind of looming in my orbit and also how I'm able to make sense of my days by seeing them in snapshots like this. I think it's so magical. I can't even explain it to you, but for me, these are just the moments that I carry with me moving forward as I want to time travel back to my life. If I want to know exactly what I did on one day in 2025. Watched Materialist. I immediately know when that was, and it's like a little container for the life that I've lived, and it's no surprise that I'm definitely gonna get one more. I'm definitely gonna get one every year, right? This is like canon information, at least as much as I'm recording it now and telling you. But yeah, this is a tour so far of all my journals. Okay, that is it for this tour. You know, every time I talk about journaling, I always think that I could like cap it to like 15 minutes. It never happens. Journaling is chatty, guys. Journaling and yapping, I think, exists in the same vein. I always say that I am a yapper on paper. That's why a lot of my journal entries have so much words. But I guess that's just how I personally communicate with myself through a medium, which is paper. Does that make sense? Anyway, I wanted to pop in quickly also to share with you some thoughts on the 2027 Hobonichi. Let's talk about it a little bit. I actually am thinking, obviously I'm gonna get a new Techo, which is the same book. Why am I not getting the Avec? I don't know, I just like the beige color of this book, and I like that a whole year is in one book, but it could vary depending on what you like and what you don't like. I also have made a very specific video on all the Hobonichi formats I've used in the past. I will link it down below. It was my Hobonichi video last year. But I just really love this particular format, so it'll be nice to have a book 4. It's like entering senior year, kind of, and definitely getting that. I don't think I'm getting any new covers unless they drop something that will make my jaw drop. I am looking into getting a Hobonichi Weeks next year, so definitely checking that out. I was very, very tempted to get the Moomin one. There was like a Moomin one that came out, right? But I think actually I'm gonna settle for my first option, which is this, like, in the colors collection, they have this color called Canaria yellow. Just to show you, I have been in this yellow kick recently. It's not even the usual yellow that I go with. So this is my Kanken backpack. It's in the color Chanterelle. And then the other day, I took this home from Lidl. It's a Lego container. It's like buttery yellow. So I've been kind of in this, like, I don't know what's gonna be in here, guys. Maybe I'm gonna store stationery here, but it's a big Lego container. There's one orange one that's now in my bedroom. That's to say, I've really been enjoying like exploring other shades of yellow. So that also includes this kind of yellow-green overlap of this like chartreusey green, which I think the Canaria yellow kind of taps into. I might get that one actually, because if I did want a Moomin cover, I would just put a Moomin sticker on the cover. That's kind of how my brain works. But other than that, I don't really see anything that like has captured my attention, which is a big relief because I feel like, yeah, I've been very like just chill in general about Hobonichi drops, because I think I'm at that point where I already know exactly what Hobonichi I want to get. So there's nothing much I need to think about in case I do want to add a new cover. And yeah, last but not the least, I will put in the Hobonichi playlist I made down below. I picked 10 videos that I feel would be most relevant in case you're new to Hobonichi. You're like, what do I use, or what have I used in the past? So I have a mix of Hobonichi Weeks, Techo. I think I also have like a bit of Cousin. I had used Cousin before, but I don't think I find myself using it anymore. Now that I have a more refined system. If you want to know what I've been using this 2026, I also have a Techo Kaigi video that I will link down below, and if you want to read more about it, it's on Substack. Last but not the least, I do have an everyday journaling class on Skillshare in case you'd like to check that out. I have a free trial link down below. I also have a live stream for Hobonichi coming up. Actually, it's gonna come up this August, but if you're watching this in September, you can definitely watch the replay if you join my Creative Growth Club on Patreon. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much, and happy Hobonichi season. Take care. Also, buy intentionally, buy wisely, and do your research. Bye!